Dubai Eye 103.8.
Fact or fake?
Well, today is all about travel. What's being done at the airport to protect people from COVID-19, from contracting it, from spreading it or otherwise. Dr. Manal Taryam, the CEO of Primary Healthcare at Dubai Health Authority, gives us this advice.
The Dubai Health Authority has issued clear guidelines and protocols to control the spread of COVID-19 in the community. One of these protocols is being currently implemented at the airport. All passengers arriving to the Emirate of Dubai through the Dubai airport are being screened for high temperatures through thermal scanners. These thermal scanners are situated at different locations at the airport and they are non-contact thermal scanners. Other screening measures involve passengers who are arriving from countries of concern. This screening test is a laboratory test where a nasal swab is being collected from all passengers and sent for investigation. Passengers who are found to be a suspected case of COVID-19 will be isolated during their stay in the airport and transported to the nearest hospital for further investigation and management. Generally, passengers and visitors to the airport are advised to follow the guidelines for controlling of the spread of COVID-19, which are regularly washing the hand, avoid touching surfaces, and then touching the face, especially the eyes, nose, and mouth, and when sneezing or coughing, to cover the nose and mouth with either a handkerchief or with hands. The government of Dubai and the Dubai Health Authority have taken all the measures to assure the safety of the community and of the visitors of Dubai.
So yesterday on yesterday's edition of
Fact or fake?
We dealt with masks, we dealt with hand washing. Today we want to focus a bit more on travel, but also open it up to other questions that you might have, other concerns, as we try and dispel some of those myths, some of those misconceptions that are doing the rounds, the fake news that is not helping anybody. We've compiled all your questions about travel, and to answer some of those, or certainly to give a professional healthcare perspective, we're joined in studio by emergency physician from the Saudi German Hospital, Dr. Mustafa Khan. Dr. Khan, thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Tom.
Listen, let's just start with an overview, if we can. A lot of people are taking advice from everywhere, from your company, from the authorities, from friends, family, colleagues, social media, etc. What's the top end? What's the best bit of advice you can give?
Well, the advice nowadays, although all the hype in the media is all about if you concentrate on that, you'll be scared to death and you will not crawl out of your house. But the advice that I have for the general population is common sense. First of all, hand hygiene is the most important thing. Avoiding crowded places for without a reason, you shouldn't be there. Regarding travel nowadays, you're getting advisories about suspending flights and this and that, and it is all in the efforts to for the containment of the COVID-19. And as we have seen the spread of it, and these were the vectors, the cruise ships and the airplanes, they initially took the effective individuals and spread them around in different countries. And then from there on onwards, now we have discovered that if we contain, just like China did, on a large scale, this is the best way to go forward about it.
As I mentioned, we've got quite a few questions that have come through, Doc, with a focus on travel. And I appreciate that you are a medical professional, travel, insurance, and other elements that people are asking are not your area of excellence. But let's try and get into some of the health concerns for Dubai residents about travel. And I suppose what mitigates this is the fact that so many of us here are dependent on travel, whether it be for our jobs, whether it be for our family, especially at this time of year with school holidays coming round as well. A lot of us are forced to travel. So let's hear in from the first of our questions or concerns. This one is coming in from Mariska, and then we'll get some thoughts from you straight after that.
We are supposed to go to South Africa in April for my son's first birthday, but my husband's company has just suspended all the company travel and has also advised us not to travel for personal reasons, so we're not sure. We're not sure what we're going to do. We're also traveling via African country, which is also a bit harder because then you have to go through 2 airports with 2 little kids. We're more concerned for the kids, really.
We're just not sure, is what Mariska's saying there, and that seems to be a sentiment that resounds with many. Travel from here down to South Africa for a first birthday party, advisable?
Well, no one wants to miss the first birthday party, but in these times, I believe health should come first, and the safety of your kids and your family is the utmost importance, I think. Travel can be done later on when everything is cleared out, as we believe that the COVID-19 would be contained by end of April, due to merely the climate change, the temperature changes as well. The virus tends to grow or reap a lot in cold weather and winter months. So as the summer is coming along, the things are supposed to settle down. Traveling to countries for leisure at the moment, if one can avoid it, it is in their own best interest. Because otherwise, when you are returning back to Dubai, you would be going through screening at the airports, especially if you're coming from the high-risk countries or the cities. And the screening is about temperature control first, where you're not aware, but they are checking your body temperature. And if your temperature is crossing above a certain level, then you might even face unnecessary quarantine to be investigated further. So to avoid all of that complications coming back to Dubai, better, in my opinion, to stay safe, stay home, and enjoy it with your kids and family.
We've got some more that are coming through, and I'm going to get to those in just a few moments' time. Let's get to Aimon now, if we can. Aimon, your concerns?
So my wife, daughter, and myself have tickets booked for the 24th going to Florida, the United States. It is for compassionate reasons, however, so there's no plan of cancelling unless there's some kind of legal mandate. All 3 of us are traveling together. In the event that we get separated, we at least all want to be together. I do risk losing maybe potentially unpaid leave when coming back if we're quarantined, but considering the circumstances, I think it's worth it.
See, this is a quandary, isn't it, Doc? Because you mentioned in your first answer there about non-essential travel and leisure travel as well. Right. But when it comes to compassionate travel, then you have an ethical choice, don't you?
Exactly. And in this case, I believe in U.S., especially the Florida, we don't have any emergency declared yet. Travel can be done safely over there. But while you're traveling, my advice to this gentleman would be, during your flights, contacting other people, wearing a mask, and especially in the airplane, the most frequented areas are the toilets. So, of course, on a flight to Florida, they're going to end up in the toilet. But when you go in and you touch the knobs of the doors and the flush tanks, make sure you wash your hands on your way back out. You open the doorknob with a tissue paper. Don't hold it with your bare hands. And then when you come back to your seat, use a sanitizer again. So all these precautions regarding hand hygiene will eventually save you.
More thoughts in a few moments' time. Whilst we're doing that as well, let's just spare a thought if we can. We are talking a lot about our travel routines being upset, and the fact that we've got to make some difficult decisions about flights, etc. Maybe we should all take a moment as well just to spare a thought for all the cabin crew, pilots, and all those working the aviation industry who rely on travel for their income, but also getting us from A to B as well. And we'll reflect on that in just a few moments' time.
Fact or fake?
So basically, this is a new feature when we welcome into studio experts in a variety of fields, no more so than healthcare and, of course, medicine, in light of recent concerns by a number of listeners about their health in light of the spread of COVID-19. So, what is fact? What is fake? How can we stop dispelling these rumours that are doing the rounds? Well, we can ask the experts, and Dr. Mustafa Khan is exactly that. A revered emergency physician at the Saudi German hospital right here in Dubai. He's been kind enough to give us his time this morning after a long shift last night and yesterday to be with us here to give us his thoughts and opinions on a number of concerns. Let's get one from Darren now if we can.
We'll certainly be looking to travel, but applying some very common sense logics across that. So perhaps looking at fares that have the flexibility in terms of being able to rearrange, looking at hotels where potentially you can cancel at the last minute, and obviously probably avoiding places that have a larger contamination spread of the virus. Those countries are obvious, and maybe it's best to avoid them at this point because of the potential complications that come with that. So yes, definitely looking to travel, but applying some very common sense methods across flexibility in booking and not getting hammered on any cancellations or rates should I not be able to fly at those times.
Interesting, because that's a phrase, Doc, that you used earlier on, common sense approach.
Sense. That is correct. I mean, people are taking it as if this is some alien coming through to the planet, but it is common sense. It is a virus, and we've been dealing with viruses of all sorts, just like influenza, for instance. I mean, last year in US, there were more than 18,000 deaths due to influenza. But now, because we have a vaccination for it and we have medication for it, so that is not a big hype anymore in the media. And so the same goes for corona. It is a virus, and it can be prevented. The transmission can be eliminated by common sense. And again, we tell our patients in ED as well, and outside whoever I'm at, that washing your hands 20 seconds with a soap. I have a little boy, and I'm teaching him the same. Yeah. In 20 seconds, you count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, make a song in your head, and you wash it with a regular soap, and that is the best prevention that you can have.
Amazing. This is another question, I should say, about countries for that matter, from Anjali, who's been in touch with us. Which countries do not fly to and from the UAE? What cities or countries are considered high risk? I mean, is this something that the medical professionals do they share that information with you guys?
Well, yes, of course, because we have to be aware of the high risk countries. Yeah. Dubai being the hub of tourism, and all 90% are expats living here. So most of us are traveling out and then coming back into the country. For this reason, the Dubai Health Authority keeps us up to date about the high-risk countries. And at the moment, we have about 10 countries which are considered high-risk. And returning from China, Hong Kong, Italy, Iran, Japan, Germany, Singapore, France, Kuwait, and Bahrain. These are the 10 countries upon which, on arrival, you will be screened for the COVID-19. And if you were to have any cough, runny nose, or fever symptoms, you have the possibility of getting quarantined as well.
That's a list that's being updated by the Dubai Health Authority all the time, because I'm sure a lot of the listeners will appreciate there are cases developing around the world, in some countries more rapidly than others, and therefore it is advisable to keep an eye on that list as it is published regularly and updated by the Dubai Health Authority. Let's get on to another dilemma, if we can, because you reported a little earlier on in the news, amongst others, about the fact that Emirates Airline and other airlines are doing all they can to reassure all visitors that all plans are being put into place to make sure that they can fly if it is feasible, but also that the cleaning of their aircraft has been reassessed and revisited, as we've seen in a recent video.
Exactly. So they're taking extra steps to make sure that the entire aircraft is disinfected. They released a video showing how they're cleaning the plane. Very reassuring for many people. The air on the flight is being recirculated several times during the journey. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. They have enhanced the cleaning and disinfection more than the regulations require, especially on the Emirates Airlines.
In terms of, you know how we mentioned earlier, Doc, about if people have to travel, if they must travel, if they've got a death in the family, there's an emergency somewhere, if they must, before they even get to the airport, before they even get to the plane itself, are there sort of certain precautions that they can take in terms of packing and readying themselves?
Well, packing, I don't know. That would be up to their own standard and the journey that they're taking. But regarding the travel, all vaccinations should be done.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Before you head on to the airport, you should have your masks, your sanitizers with you.
Yeah.
And then again, expect some delays as well on the airport, because as per my knowledge, at the moment the electronic gates are closed because of such reasons that you have to be screened before going.
So one thing I've heard as well, and obviously this is a story that is developing at the moment, we'll give it more details, obviously with the decision from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to ban flights for the time being. This is not, forever or anything, just for the time being, from Dubai over concerns of cases in Saudi Arabia. One thing they have been asking for, or I'm told they have been asking for until this point, was a medical certificate. Proving that you have been checked. Is that something or not?
That is something. KSA is requiring it, that you have to be screened for corona before you can enter, especially if you have been through or transited through the countries that are high-risk countries.
And where do you get those certificates?
That would be issued by a hospital when you have gone through the testing of the COVID-19 virus.
Okay, so you can approach pretty much any hospital, yeah?
Yes.
And we've got a few questions coming in. Can virus be carried on paper money? I've seen a few articles on this, but we want to hear it from you, Dr. Khan.
Well, a virus is a virus. It has its own weight, whether it is in microns. It is so, but it has its weight. So it can stay on surfaces. If someone coughs on a currency note, the virus will stay on it for some time. Metal, on the other hand, aluminum and metal is very, very much prone to carry the virus for a longer amount of time, in terms of hours, as I have read in one of the articles.
What about the tests at the airport? We were just speaking to Ashley Stewart there, and she's not the first person to tell me that the nasal swab tests are not pleasant.
That's not something that you want to get done, but in times of the need, and it has to be done, because the virus supposedly the first entry and the living point for the virus is the nostrils. So this is where it wants to live in the beginning, and this is the point where it can be tested from easily. And the nasal swab, of course, the swab is going to be pushed all the way up. You're going to feel like it's poking your brain. But it is important. And more important for the healthcare workers is that the person who is conducting the nasal swab, they have to be covered with a mask, because a normal reflex of a cough can happen during this collection. And if the person was infected and the specimen collector was not wearing a mask or the face shield as a whole, there's a chance of infecting them as well.
With travel, one phrase that we're hearing quite a lot is quarantine.
Yes.
But quarantine seems to be preceded by a number of different things, either sort of self-quarantine or a promoted quarantine, or somebody saying that you must go in quarantine as well. How does one self-quarantine? Does one need to self-quarantine unless you're asked to?
Well, I've been hearing it in news about Canada. Now, Canada is implementing the policy that people who have even the small amount of flu or who have traveled and came to Canada now and they think that they might have the virus, they were told by their health authorities that do not even go to the hospital. You can call the concerned centers, they will come to you and they will do the test from your house. Now, self-quarantine is isolating yourself to your house, let's say. If you think that you are sick or if you think that your immunity is low, you shouldn't be out. If your immunity is low, you can catch the virus easily as well. So that's why elderly, 60 plus, these people are at more risk of catching the virus, and especially when their immune system is low due to other comorbid conditions like diabetes or other factors. The virus can attack such elderly people more vigorously than it would in a healthy person.
Fact or fake?
Yeah, it's our little opportunity to look at some of the misinformation doing the rounds and basically clean it up. Talking travel this morning, a lot of you are having issues with your travel at the moment. Have you been forced to cancel your travel plans?
I'm traveling to Manila for my best friend's wedding next week, and we'll be staying there for 12 days. The number of people who are infected with coronavirus is increasing in both UAE and Philippines, but I can't miss the wedding event, so I will be going as planned. My major concern is the travel ban that has been circulating in other countries. I'm worried that Dubai might also restrict flights from the Philippines. That means it will take me a while to go back to work.
That's Ron giving us his thoughts on travel plans. Things changing in the Philippines, Ina Zelamea?
Yes, actually, a few days ago, they've confirmed the first local case. And since then, there have been a few cases that are being confirmed. And some areas are are basically ghost towns. So they confirmed that a man used to frequent a mosque and that they're doing contact tracing with the other people that went to this mosque. And it's connected to a shopping center. And so the shopping center is now under quarantine or being advised to be deserted by health authorities. So things have changed overnight. And remember, I told you a few days ago, I'm surprised there are no cases in the Philippines. And then the next day, everything was announced. Dr.
Mustafa Khan is the emergency physician at the Saudi German Hospital here in Dubai. He's been kind enough to give us his time to answer a few of the questions, to allay some of the fears and concerns out there, and bring a bit of common sense to the conversation as well. To that end, Doc, let's ask about your place of work. You, of course, work an E&R as an emergency physician. You're reacting to a variety of different cases on a daily basis whenever on shift as well. What have you seen in recent times? Are you seeing a surge in the number of patients walking through the door looking for advice? And what is your advice to them to try and sort out, what it is an emergency and what's not?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. Recently, because of this COVID-19, we have seen a surge in patients coming through. And they're all concerned about their health, even with a minor flu or just a sore throat, without any fever. Symptoms just started 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, just in the morning, and without having taken any medications like cold and flu meds that you want to try at home. And they come to us and they rush to us and they ask us, Doctor, am I at risk? I was like, maybe now you are more at risk because you expose yourself to be in the hospital environment and you're in the ER. So at the moment, from my personal experience, we have not seen any serious cases yet of the COVID-19, all right, in our facility. So at the moment, we are pretty much sure that it can be contained, and it is being contained in Dubai very well. And with the Dubai Health Authority and the government, they're very vigilant about it. So both of them working together, there should be no panic in our society over here.
So again, I think that this is a key one to reiterate, and we often hear it, don't we, from the emergency services, the use of 999 emergency numbers, etc. I mean, you are an emergency physician.
Right.
By definition, you deal with emergency cases.
Yeah,
Somebody
yes.
coming in complaining of a runny nose and a bit of a cold or something is taking your expertise away from other emergency situations. So what's your advice to people there?
Well, when it's needed, there's no other way to avoid coming to the emergency. Yes, of course, we are here at your service. Even if you come with your common cold symptom, we are still going to entertain you. But emergency is being considered as... when people come to emergency, they think they are in emergency.
Yeah.
No matter what their symptom is. We sometimes have patients arguing about why did that patient go in first? I'm sitting here. The lack of understanding about the categorization of the symptoms and the severity. We will take the severe patients in first and cater to them first, and then go on to you if you are stable. So this awareness has to be a bit more in Dubai, especially nowadays. You want to stay safe. If you're coming to the hospital without a reason, for a minor reason, let's say, and it's not an emergency, containment. That's what the world is doing. What Italy did today announced that they're containing themselves. They're putting travel ban from traveling from north to south of Italy. Yeah, so the country in itself is containing.
Yeah,
and this is the formula that we have to apply.
Sure.
Over here as well.
Let's get some more of the questions that are coming through from listeners before we say farewell to Dr. Day. Let's go to you, Zina Zalamea.
This one's from Christy. Thanks, Christy. I'm planning to visit Sarah, my daughter in the UK. She's studying there, feels very homesick. We've not visited her since September of 2019. Should I visit her now, or should I keep it for a later date until it becomes travel friendly? It's not a high-risk country at the moment, but what are your thoughts on that, Doctor?
Absolutely. It's not a high-risk country at the moment, but looking at the situation, how things change, I mean, it can become a complicated situation for this woman when she travels there, and she might not be able to return back, or things can change. So until everything is settled down, I believe travel that is not utmost necessarily has to be done should be avoided if you can avoid it.
And this is something that we've been getting repeatedly, a question about pregnancy. How severe is COVID-19 for pregnant women?
Well, pregnancy in itself is stress on the body. So like I said earlier, any immune system weakness in the body, if your immune system is a bit weak, if you're overstressed, and there are more chances of the virus being more aggressive in that case. So pregnancy in itself is stress on the body of a woman, and that would give the virus more chance to multiply and take effect.
But just like the flu, it's just like any other virus.
It is just like any other virus, yes. And it doesn't necessarily hit everyone, like we have seen from the statistics now, that how many people were infected in Wuhan, and then how many of them have actually recovered. So the recovery didn't happen because we had a vaccine or we had any medication for it. No, recovery happened because the immunity of those humans were good enough, and it took care of it.
Had a couple of other questions come through. We're just going to run through those quickly. One that came through from Lama as well. We're aiming to travel to Spain at the end of the month and don't want to cancel our plans as we have a wedding in Tenerife and then need to plan for our wedding, which is due in July later this year. Difficult situations. We don't want to be the killjoys to get in the way of a wedding, that's for sure.
Well,
your advice?
My advice, you can possibly stay safe for the wedding that you're attending and save it for your own wedding. And hopefully by that time, everything is going to be settled.
And to that end, I mean, just to add on to that, a point you mentioned a little earlier on, Doc, about temperatures and seasons as well.
Yes.
We've heard a lot about this and the fact that when the seasons change, we'll see a drop in numbers. Is that something that we can hope for and look forward to?
Yes, I believe we can actually rely on this fact. in the coming months, especially by the end of April, the virus survival due to the change in climate is going to become harder and harder for it. Some viruses thrive in cold weathers. Some diseases and parasites and viruses thrive in hot and humid weathers. So for COVID-19, summer is not a suitable environment.
So this is the first time that we're willing summer upon us at the moment, prematurely.
Yes, it's going to come through.
And final one from us. Now, look, this is a nice little point that's been made. Thanks very much indeed whoever sent this one in. Bit off topic, but non-refundable trip booked for April, but operator has been really understanding, fully refunded the booking. Emirates flexibility also really helpful on flights booked. The trip wasn't to a hotspot either, just highlighted travelling with older family members and young children. Attitudes like this secure long-term customer loyalty with people like me. However, the point that I just wanted to ask you about and how he ends up this text message, I'll always fly to places I know the healthcare systems well, but I won't where I don't. Is that good advice as well?
That is quite good advice, yes.
Yeah, so again, that sort of plays into common sense, doesn't it?
Yes,
to a certain degree, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Final thoughts from our special guest, Dr. Mustafa Khan. If there's one piece of advice you want all of our listeners to take away with from the conversations we've had today regarding travel in the near future, or of course the far future, what's it to be?
Well, the situation was escalated quite a lot by the media and the social media, and then everyone took advantage of it. And I believe apart from the fact there's a lot of fiction with it as well. Yes, it is something that should concern everyone, but there are ways of taking care of it. It can be contained. We have seen it through various countries going into action, and then that action plan actually working out. So the fear factor should be set aside. There's no need to panic, absolutely. Especially living in Dubai, with the government's effort and the Dubai Health Authority's efforts, there is absolutely no reason to panic at all. The reason the schools are closed is basically the concept of containment. Yeah, we don't want to have unnecessary spread or unnecessary panic among the society. And my last thing would be that relaxation is just as important as preparation. So people need to relax about it and use your common sense and do the things that our parents used to tell us when we were kids. Wash your hands before you eat. Wash your hands before you touch your face. And that actually really, really works.
Yeah. Dr. Mustafa Khan, we can't thank you enough for joining us, especially off a long shift at the Saudi German hospital right here in Dubai. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
The UAE government has advised its citizens from travelling abroad to prevent contracting COVID-19. And we've also been updated on what health authorities are doing at the airport. Here's Dr. Manal Taryam, CEO of Primary Healthcare at the Dubai Health Authority.
The Dubai Health Authority has issued clear guidelines and protocols to control the spread of COVID-19 in the community. One of these protocols is being currently implemented at the airport. All passengers arriving to the Emirate of Dubai through the Dubai airport are being screened for high temperatures through thermal scanners. These thermal scanners are situated at different locations at the airport, and they are non-contact thermal scanners. Other screening measures involve passengers who are arriving from countries of concern. This screening test is a laboratory test where a nasal swab is being collected from all passengers and sent for investigation. Passengers who are found to be a suspected case of COVID-19 will be isolated during their stay in the airport and transported to the nearest hospital for further investigation and management. Generally, passengers and visitors to the airport are advised to follow the guidelines for controlling of the spread of COVID-19, which are regularly washing the hand, avoid touching surfaces, and then touching the face, especially the eyes, nose, and mouth, and when sneezing or coughing, to cover the nose and mouth with either a handkerchief or with hands. The government of Dubai and the Dubai Health Authority have taken all the measures to assure the safety of the community and of the visitors of Dubai.
Those were the thoughts of Dr. Manal Tayyam, the CEO of Primary Healthcare at the Dubai Health Authority. So what does that mean for us? Have you changed your travel plans? Do you have to think ahead? Is it something that you are taking consult on at the moment? Let's hear now from journalist and editor for The National, who recently flew back into Dubai from Lebanon, which is in fact considered a high-risk area alongside areas such as Thailand, Italy, and of course parts of China. Published an article and a message on social media saying the airport procedures have been reassuringly tight. So let's find out more as we speak to Ashley Stewart, who joins us live on the line. Ashley, thanks for being with us.
No worries. How are you?
We're not bad. And it's good to have you back on terra firma here in the UAE to do your bit as you do day on day down at the National. But tell us about that flight. And I think this is interesting. So many people are trying to get in touch with people who've been through the airport or been on a flight recently to see what it was like for them. So what was it like for you?
The actual flight itself was pretty uneventful. You're on a flight with a few more people that are wearing face masks, but it's not until you get back into the country that things are a little different. Like, just before you get off the plane, you're handed a document to fill out. It asks you if you've been to China in the last 2 weeks. It asks about your SIG number, your address, I'm assuming, so that they can contact you in case someone around you has been exposed to the virus. But then it's when you come off the plane that things get a little bit more interesting. And we got off the plane at about 2 a.m. And you have the thermal scanning, which doesn't affect you as you come off. That's just a thermal scanner set up on the air bridge that scans people as they walk past. When you come off the plane, you have to kind of line up in an orderly line, as everyone was doing, because they were sleep deprived off a red-eye flight. And then you are given a nasal swab, which is not the most pleasant experience, I'm going to be honest. They tell you at the time that it's going to be uncomfortable, and it is a bit of a strange feeling. But everything is extremely tight, extremely well managed. There's plenty of people there to take your swabs, to tell you exactly what needs to be done. So the whole process is pretty fast. We were only waylaid for about 40 minutes, I think, and by the time you get through to your the baggage claim area, all your bags are stacked and ready for you to just leave. So it was a reassuring experience.
I'm glad to hear that, because we are hearing sort of horror stories out there of people waiting 5 hours in immigration lines, etc. And yet the most sort of anecdotal evidence that I find, and you've just reassured that and reaffirmed that, is that people are being... The authorities at airports are very conscious of the wait times at the moment, of trying to get people through as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, from what I experienced, and typically Dubai is at its busiest in the middle of the night. So if anything else, it should have been busier than it was. But it is clear that there are less people traveling. We were on a smaller plane, but even we were kind of up the front. But even we had a few other friends that were sitting towards the back, and they were out 10 minutes after us. So it's so clear that they're being very, very conscious of moving everything through as fast as it can. And you are being ferried through. There's no waiting around. There's just like, get in, get your swabbing utensils, go through to the swabbing area and get out.
In terms of the procedures being put in place when you, upon arrival, you mentioned there the nasal swab, and we've had a few text messages in about that already, that they are uncomfortable. And yeah, ideally people would rather not have a nasal swab. But in terms of the thermal scanner, are you very conscious that you're being scanned?
Yes. And no. I mean, it's kind of a confronting sight when you get off a plane into an air bridge and you see two people who are in full hospital gowns and masks standing there with, it just looks like a computer screen though, so you're not being affected by that at all. You're just walking past, for all intents and purposes, you're just walking past two people on a computer. That's it.
In terms of the sort of advice you were getting before you got on that flight, and I know that obviously you're in a job that you need to travel around the region, you need to get out and about as well. Are you seeing different advice evolve at the moment, day on day, in terms of the travel advice that you are getting?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, it's such a movable beast at the moment. Every day it changes. there's different advice being given out. Obviously, people in the UAE are being told to really think twice about their travel plans. But if you are going to travel, I think it's just all about being smart. Wash your hands. I mean, the face mask things are a whole nother conversation that needs to happen, whether you're wearing them right, whether they're even necessary at all. And every country is handling things very differently. So when we came off the plane into Lebanon, all we had was they have handheld temperature scanners rather than the thermal cameras and things like that. So that's what they're doing. Every country is different. Whether or not it's up to scratch or not is such a completely different question. So I think it's just about being conscious, but I wouldn't say don't travel.
You've shared your experiences with your feature in The National, also online as well, through your social media posts as well. Is that important? Because we rely quite heavily on word of mouth here, but at the same time we don't want to spread misinformation and rumours. But is it important for people to share their experiences?
I think so. I mean, that's exactly why I did it, because I've never seen the amount of fake news that's going around through any other event that's happened as I've been working in the media, and even just like as a person that consumes social media. So I think it's frustrating for a lot of us working in the media who are trying to give that proper researched information when there's so many people who are just spreading the first thing they see on social media and taking it as gospel and just sending it out further into the world. And there is so much misinformation going on and around. Like, before we went to the airport, we were told that we couldn't use our Emirates IDs. We were told that we'll be waiting for 3 or 4 hours, and neither of those things were true. We could, at the time, still use our Emirates IDs to get through, and the wait was 35 minutes, probably max. So I think it is really important for people to be sharing their experiences, so long as they are their own experiences rather than hearsay and things like that.
You can find her at @Ash_Stewart_ on social media, and of course on a regular basis in The National. Ashley, more travel planned?
Not right now, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to book anything in the next couple of weeks.
It's a wait and see policy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Good on you. Lovely to chat to you as always. Ashley Stewart, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
Ashley Stewart, journalist, editor for The National, joining us live on the line. What have we been talking about today? We've been talking about travel advisories. I've been asking you for your travel advisories. Thanks very much indeed for your text messages. Thanks very much indeed for all of the information that's come through to us. One of the things that I have been hearing is this form that you have to fill in to get into India. Self-reporting form to be filled by all international passengers heading to India. Now, again, this hasn't been corroborated. There's just something that's been sent to me. But the advice being, whoever is travelling to India from abroad, please carry a printout of said form, as there are long queues at the airports for this form because there is a shortage of the forms at the airport itself. Immigration does not allow clearance till you submit this form to them, forwarding this to the needy and people travelling to India. So it's from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, from the Government of India. It's a self-reporting form to be filled by all international passengers. So just be aware of that one if you would like to find out more. 4001 to have your say, to get your thoughts into us. We've been asking about travel policies, your company policies, your authority policies, what you've been told. Have you changed travel plans? That's something that we have been looking into in detail over the course of the show. What about your travel plans? Have you cancelled any? Sadia, what about you?
So we hadn't gotten around to finalising our travel plans for the spring break. So I think procrastination can be good sometimes. And I know people who had planned holidays, it must be difficult and they must be losing quite a bit of money. But we have to keep the bigger picture in mind, that it is our health which is at risk here. And the kind of measures that we're seeing today are unprecedented. I've never heard of or experienced travel bans and travel advisories of the kind we're seeing today. So I'm assuming that, yes, the situation indeed is serious and we just need to stay put.
Timur's a businessman.
We had to shut down operation in Hong Kong, and I had a trip planned for this month to Russia to visit our Russian operation. However, this has been postponed because due to media announcement that people traveling to Russia might get into quarantine in Russia, as well as people in Russia are afraid that they will get in quarantine traveling to Dubai.
That was Timur, a businessman here, giving us thoughts on his travel plans. Zines?
Yes, we've got a few people who've texted in. All my conferences I was attending in Japan, Jordan, France, and Riyadh have been postponed. Thank you for that. Mark says that work, travel ban, personal cancelled. All spring break plans. Hope this lifts before summer. And we've also got a message earlier on from Andrew saying the Middle East Cleaning and Hygiene Awards have been postponed till later in the year.
Is that fake news?
No, I looked it up. There is
sure?
such a thing. Middle East Cleaning and Hygiene Facilities Awards.
You're having a laugh, aren't you? That's fake news.
I am not, as I bathe in Dettol.
The Indian Wales tournament is the latest big sporting event to have fallen foul of the coronavirus. It's been cancelled because of concerns about the spread of coronavirus. The tournament, combined ATP WTA event, is one of the biggest and most prestigious outside the Grand Slams, was due to start this week. Health officials over in California saying there was just too great a risk to hold a large gathering of this size. We're prepared to hold it on another date and will explore options, said the tournament director, Tommy Haas. Many of the world's leading players, including men's world number 2, Rafa Nadal, have already arrived in California for the event. So just another of the big events to fall foul.
And back in the UAE, Mona got in touch to say, I was booked to travel for last week of March. My housemaid was supposed to travel next week, but we have decided to cancel for the greater good. However, I hear people still planning to travel are not concerned about being put into quarantine when they come back. I've heard about mums complaining about the kids being off for 4 weeks, but look on the bright side. Guys, this is being done for the greater good of everyone. Spend that extra quality time with the kids. Things could be worse. Don't let all the hype about this virus spoil your inner peace. Really good advice and really good reminder from Mona.
Cheers, Julia, as well, who reached out.
We are trying not to go out as much. We are predominantly staying at home. We try to avoid any places with a lot of people. My husband has cancelled a couple of business trips and tries to work from home as much as he can. So, well, hopefully everything will be all right in the end.
Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll all be good. Come on, let's just stay positive if we can. Well, let's get out and about and try something new, like Go Bubble. Really appreciate the co-founders of Go Bubble joining us, Henry and Danielle Platten. Go Bubble, which they describe themselves as social media with training wheels for children. I like that image. Basically pushing you in the right direction, making sure that you understand the social media landscape. A few comments through on that.
Exactly. This is from Philippa, loving listening to Henry from Go Bubble. As a teacher who uses it, I love the peace of mind which it gives me, knowing my students have a safe space to chat and discuss. With a shocking 72% of 6-year-olds using social media, Go Bubble is a great alternative to support them and get them to learn how to be positive, to be a positive digital citizen. A lot of you also got in touch about Go Bubble. As a parent, I'd rather it be an app rather than a website that they can deviate from. I blocked Safari from my children's iPads because I don't want them to wander off onto other websites. At least in an app, it's restricted to that only. A lot of you asking, what's the name of the app? What's the name of the app? Can't find Go Bubble on the App Store. Well, it's not an app. It is a website. And Henry and Daniel explained why. We'll post the podcast up on Twitter and Instagram after the show.
Mascarinas has been in touch with the show. Nice to hear from you. Travel plans? Got any? Yep. Well, Muskie says, we've cancelled our European travel this month due to the current situation. My children are really sad about it, but they do understand the importance of being careful to avoid the spread of the virus. I pulled out my participation on basketball tournaments also.
This is Dubai Eye 103.8.